Um, well, yes, that's my question. Where do our thoughts come from?
Well, that's a very good question. If I were to give a name to the place where thoughts come from, it wouldn't help you. In fact, it would, if anything, prevent you from finding out yourself. But wherever thoughts come from, do your thoughts not arise in you?
Yes.
Okay, so that's one thing we can say for sure. All thoughts appear in me. So, do you ever have an experience of a thought existing outside what we call me and being placed into me?
No. It comes up in me.
Okay, so tell us about the me. So whatever me is, whatever I am, must therefore be the place, if we can call it a place, from which thought or in which thought arises. So we're honing down the possibilities now.
Yeah.
Thought cannot arise out of you. When a thought arises, when it exists, and when it disappears, it always arises in me, it exists in me, and it disappears into me. Have you ever seen a thought leave you and go into something outside of you?
No.
No. So we're narrowing the possibilities. Whatever I am is that from which thought arises. So the question is now, what is me? What am I?
Right.
That is that from which a thought arises, in which it exists during its existence, and into which it vanishes when it comes to an end.
Right. Okay.
Now, just to follow on with that, whatever it is that our thoughts arise from, that we call me or I, must itself be inherently or intrinsically free of thought, because thought arises in it. Prior to the arising of a thought, whatever that is free of the thought. So the thought arises in, exists in, and vanishes into that which is inherently free of thought. Yes? That in fact goes for every feeling we have, every sensation we have, and every perception we have. The perception of this room appears in ourself. It arises in ourself, and therefore the self, if we can call it a self, in which our thoughts, sensations and perceptions arise, must itself be intrinsically free of or empty of thoughts, sensations and perceptions.
Well, in noticing these thoughts that they come up and the perception just comes up, made me feel very free. How can I put it? It became very clear that there is no free will as we think the body-mind has, but it all comes up from this nothingness.
From this no-thingness.
Exactly.
Which is
no-thingness.
Which
exactly.
is not something, but it is not nothing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
But you're right. There may be no individual freedom. Nevertheless, this no-thingness from which all experience rises, being free of the qualities of all experience, is itself absolutely and inherently free.
Yeah.
And that freedom echoes in each of our minds as the feeling, two feelings. One, I have free will, and two, I long for freedom. The longing for the knowledge, I have free will, is the recognition that the freedom we feel that is at our disposal is an echo in each of our minds of the true freedom out of which all experience arises. And our longing for freedom comes from the knowledge that what we essentially are is absolute freedom itself. And that is why when anyone ever puts any constraints on us, we rebel.
Mm-hmm. The freedom you're now talking about is not the freedom I meant when I said we don't have free will, like we're not in the driver's seat. That's what I meant.
Yes.
But the freedom I felt when seeing these thoughts come from the no-thingness, that gave me freedom.
You know, it's not that we don't have freedom. We have freedom, but our freedom is not the possession of a separate person.
Right. Yeah.
Take the experience of love. We all experience love, yes? None of us would say, I never experience love, or I don't have the experience of love. Now, love is not an experience that belongs to a particular person. The experience of love, just as the space in this room, this is an analogy, the physical space in this room doesn't belong to the four walls of this room. It wasn't generated by this building. It is temporarily contained in this building, but the space in this room actually belongs to a space that is much larger than this room. So the same, the experience of love, which we feel, it is like the space in this room. It doesn't belong to a person. It is, all love is God's infinite love shining in each of our minds. It's the same with freedom. The freedom that each of us feels is real. There is freedom. We are not wrong to feel either I have freedom or I long for freedom. But it's just that the freedom that each of us possesses, to the extent that we possess it, doesn't belong to an individual body-mind. It is the freedom of infinite consciousness echoing in each of our finite minds.
I understand that now, and that's why I felt so much freedom suddenly, because it's not. It has nothing to do with my body-mind.
Yes.
That's what I mean.
That's right.
Right. Yeah.
But we can at the same time use, our body-minds can use the freedom that it is given. Mm-hmm. It can, as it were, channel that freedom in certain directions. Yeah. So when you're faced with a choice, shall I do this or shall I do that? The freedom with which you choose this or that is not your own personal limited freedom. Exactly. It is the freedom of consciousness, and it is the job of your body-mind to channel infinite freedom in a direction that is either towards this or that, in such a way that it expresses truth, reality, love, intelligence. So although the freedom is not your individual freedom, nevertheless it is the job of your body to channel that freedom in such a way that it expresses and shares and celebrates truth and love and beauty.
Yes, years ago I became a lay Buddhist, and I took the precepts, and well, you know about the precepts, and after some years I discovered that the precepts are not rules, but they are feelings, actions, or whatever that come from yourself, because you wouldn't want to do anything.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
It's inherent.
Yes, it is exactly as we were saying last night in the conversation about morals and ethics.
Yeah.
When we said that really all true morality or ethical behavior comes from a single understanding, and that is we share our being. Hence, Augustine, when asked about this, just said, love and do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Once you are in touch with the fact that we all share our being, and you use that single understanding to guide all your behavior, then you no longer need precepts or morals. This single understanding guides everything you think and feel, and therefore your subsequent activities and relationships. Yes.